Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really get into the stories shaping our world. And today, wow, we are cranking it way up.
All the way to 11, right?
Exactly. We're diving deep into the legacy of a band that, they didn't just play heavy metal, they almost seemed to forge it. You know that sound, right? The searing twin guitars doing their thing, clashing and weaving.
Inescapable.
And those vocals from like a deep growl right up to that high falsetto.
And operatic power, yeah.
And the look, leather, studs, it just is heavy metal for so many people. It's absolutely iconic.
Definitely.
So when you think heavy metal, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you? Because honestly, for millions, it's got to be Judas Priest.
Precisely. They are, well, quite literally the metal gods, formed way back Birmingham, England, 1969. And Priest didn't just, exist in heavy metal.
Right.
They were true pioneers. They shaped the sound, the look, the whole spirit of it, their impact. Across music, especially all those subgenres that came later, thrash, glam, you name it. It's just undeniable. It's baked in.
And today, we're going all in, a proper deep dive into that whole 5-decade story.
Yeah,
We've got a stack of sources, detailed histories, biographies, personal stories, especially about Rob Halford, their legendary frontman.
Yeah, the Halford stuff is fascinating.
Totally. So our mission today is clear. Unpack the whole Judas Priest saga from the humble beginnings, those early struggles.
Which were pretty intense.
Right. All the way to global superstardom. We'll look at their musical innovations, huge ones, the iconic image, the personal stuff, triumphs, challenges, and that massive, enduring legacy.
Quite a story.
Get ready for some surprises, I think. Maybe some aha moments. Hopefully you'll come away with a really thorough understanding of one of metal's most influential and just plain resilient bands. So yeah, buckle up. This is going to be epic. The genesis of the metal gods. Forging identity, 1969-1977. Okay, let's start right at the beginning. Birmingham, England. Gritty industrial place, 1969. That's where Judas Priest begins. The first lineup. Al Atkins on vocals, Brian Bruno Stappenhill, bass, John Perry guitars, and John Fezza Partridge on drums. What always strikes me with these early bands, Priest included, is how much turnover there was. Was that just like how things were then, or was heavy metal especially tough to get right chemically?
That's a really good point. Yeah. It was pretty typical for new bands, sure, but for heavy metal, which was still, finding its feet.
Right. It was brand new territory.
Exactly. The stakes felt higher. They weren't just forming a band. They were kind of inventing a whole genre, piece by piece. So that constant searching wasn't just for talent, but for that perfect mix-aggression melody, that bit of theater.
Which became their thing.
Became their signature, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the name, Judas Priest, came from bassist Stappenhill, apparently inspired by a Bob Dylan song, The Ballad of Frankie Lee and Judas Priest.
Wow, a folk song inspiring the metal gods. That's wild.
It really is. Shows how diverse those early influences could be,
Yeah.
And yeah, that instability you mentioned, it kept going. John Perry, the original guitarist, tragically died young, only 18.
Awful.
And here's another twist, KK Downing. Future guitar hero. He auditioned early on and got turned down.
No way.
Yeah. Initially, they picked Ernest Chataway, who, get this, played with Black Sabbath back when they were called Earth.
Imagine that timeline. KK not in Priest. Crazy.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Those little forks in the road. But those early struggles, the lineup changes, it definitely built resilience. It's a good reminder these legendary bands don't just appear fully formed. They go through some serious upheaval.
So the band we kind of recognize starts taking shape when Al Atkins joins another band, Freight.
Right, a local heavy rock group.
And Freight had KK Downing, the guy they rejected, in guitar now, his mate Ian Skullhill on bass, and John Ellis drumming. They took the Judas Priest name, Atkins' old band name. First gig as that version was March 6, 1971.
Okay, so the pieces are starting to come together.
But the real game changer, the arrival of the metal god himself. May 1973. Rob Halford joins as vocalist. He brings his drummer, John Hinch, from his last band, Hiroshima.
Pivotal moment.
And here's a detail I love. Halford was Ian Hill's girlfriend's brother, Sue Halford.
So it was kind of a family connection that brought him in.
Yeah, right from the start. Does that kind of personal link, do you think, help when things get tough in those early days? That built-in trust?
Oh, I think it absolutely can. That pre-existing bond, that loyalty, it can really help a band push through the rough patches, the, really unglamorous early years.
Definitely.
Halford's arrival with Hinch, it really set the scene. They did their first tour in continental Europe, early 74, came back, signed with Gull Records, a small label.
Okay.
And it was actually Gull who suggested adding a fifth member to really beef up the sound.
Leading Tipton.
Glenn Tipton, second lead guitarist.
Hmm.
And that move, monumental. It solidified that classic twin guitar sound, the sound that didn't just define Priest but influenced countless metal bands afterwards.
Absolutely. That twin lead thing is Priest. But even with that, their first album, Rock'n'Rolla, September 74, produced by Black Sabbath's Roger Bain, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
No, far from it. Those Rock'n'Rolla struggles were, well, a real baptism by fire for them. The recording itself had technical issues, poor sound quality.
Yeah.
But maybe more importantly, Roger Bain, the producer, despite his Sabbath cred, he kind of took over, made decisions the band hated.
Like what?
Well, he left off songs they loved playing live, real fan favorites like Tyrant, Genocide, The Ripper, so they weren't commercial enough or something.
Wow, okay.
And he famously took their big 10-minute epic Caviar and Meths and chopped it down to just a 2-minute instrumental.
Ouch. That must have stung.
It absolutely did. And I think that experience, it really forged in them this fierce determination to control their own sound later on. They learned early that compromise could just dilute everything they were trying to do.
A tough lesson to learn right out of the gate. And the album bombed commercially, right? Left them totally broke.
Yeah. Dire financial straits is the phrase used. They were struggling to get even 50 pounds a month from Gull. Can you imagine? Band members eating one meal a day, taking part-time jobs.
Just to survive while trying to be rock stars.
Exactly. It really grounds the whole metal gods mythology, doesn't it?
Uh.
Shows the sheer grit behind the legend. They were literally starving for their art at that point.
But they didn't quit. They kept pushing. In 1975, they actually played Rock'n'Rolla and Dreamer Deceiver Deceiver on BBC Two's Old Grey Whistle Test. That was a year before those songs were even on the next album.
That's persistence.
John Hinch left on drums. Alan Moore came back in October 75.
And despite the money troubles, the lineup changes. They somehow managed to record the next album, Sad Wings of Destiny. Just 2 weeks, November-December 75, Rockfield Studios in Wales. Tiny budget, £2,000.
£2,000 for a full album.
Incredible, right? They stayed sober the whole time, 12-hour days. Just pure focus and dedication shows how much they believed in it.
And the album cover, that image is so powerful. The grounded angel, flames, the devil's three-pronged cross, which became their symbol.
Oh yeah, that artwork was genius. Visual branding. That cross, especially, instantly iconic. It wasn't just a logo. It symbolized their whole identity, that emerging metal aesthetic. Amazing how one image can stick like that.
Sad Wings of Destiny didn't exactly fly off the shelves initially either, did it? Punk rock was taking off.
Right, they had competition. But looking back now, everyone sees Sad Wings as the moment Priest really found their sound, their image. Yeah. The heavy riffs, the complex arrangements. Tipton and Downing said they were inspired by the factories in the Black Country.
You can almost hear that industrial weight in the music.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, how many albums are initially overlooked but end up being completely foundational later on? Sad Wings is a perfect example. They found their voice there.
And it had Victim of Changes on it too, right? Which came from older songs.
Yeah, a massive fan favorite. It evolved from an old Al Atkins song, Whiskey Woman, and a Halford one, Red Light Woman. Shows how they could build on earlier ideas and make something even bigger.
They were clearly getting frustrated with Gull Records, though.
Understandably. They got a new manager, David Hemmings, who helped them break away and sign with a major label, CBS Records. Got a £60,000 budget for the next album.
Huge step up.
Massive. But the catch was, Gull kept the rights to the first 2 albums and everything related. And Alan Moore, the drummer, left permanently because of the whole situation. So a clean break, but definitely came at a cost. 2, mainstream ascent and iconic status, 1977-1991.
Okay, so new label, CBS, bigger budget, renewed energy. They're ready for their proper major label debut. Sin After Sin, January 1977, produced by Roger Glover from Deep Purple.
And Simon Phillips played drums, just as a session guy for this one.
But this album, Sin After Sin, it was a real leap forward, technically, wasn't it? Especially the drumming.
Oh, absolutely revolutionary for heavy metal. Particularly the double kick drumming. Think about Dissident Aggressor.
Right.
Before this, drums in heavy bands were often, powerful, but maybe simpler, more driving. Priest, with those rapid-fire 16th notes on the bass drums, locking in with the guitars. It was like a machine gun.
A sonic assault.
Exactly. It ramped up the feeling of speed and aggression massively. It wasn't just faster. It was this relentless energy. That directly paved the way for speed metal thrash. It changed the whole rhythmic foundation of the genre.
And they also did that cover of Joan Baez's Diamonds and Rust.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising, right? A folk pop song. Shows they weren't afraid to try different things even then. Pop metal almost.
And it worked. Sin After Sin was the first of, 11 consecutive gold or platinum albums for them in the U.S.?
11. An incredible run. Shows how quickly they were connecting with a bigger audience. Simon Phillips didn't want to join full-time, though.
Right, so Roger Glover recommended Les Binks.
Yep. Les Binks came in permanently.
Yeah.
Great drummer. He even co-wrote Beyond the Realms of Death, another classic.
And they just kept going. 1978 was huge for them. 2 albums. Stained Class.
Which leaned more into that progressive metal side again.
And Killing Machine, which is called Hellbent for Leather over here in North America.
Yeah, and Killing Machine, Hellbent for Leather, that was really their first conscious move towards a slightly more streamlined commercial sound. Still heavy, but punchier songs.
A period of really intense evolution, both musically and visually.
Totally. Killing Machine brought back some of those earlier bluesy feels, simpler structures. But yeah, the visual thing was massive around then, too. That's when they ditched the 70s hippie-ish clothes.
And went full leather and studs.
The iconic look. K.K. Downing actually claimed he came up with it around 76, felt something was missing until they had that powerful image.
And man, did that image stick. It basically became the heavy metal uniform.
It really did. It wasn't just clothes, it was a statement.
Yeah.
Matched the aggressive sound. And it influenced everyone. 80s glam bands, early black metal. It just cemented their identity, visually and musically. An instantly recognizable brand.
The momentum just kept building. Unleashed in the East, the live album from '79, first platinum album for them, captured that live energy.
It did, although it got some flack for studio touch-ups.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Was that fair criticism? And how much does that live authenticity matter when you're trying to capture stage power on a record?
It's a classic live album debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
The criticism was kind of valid. They did do some overdubs. But what's a live album for? Is it a raw document, flaws and all?
Or is it about capturing the feeling?
Exactly. The spirit, the energy. Maybe that means some polish. For Priest, it was about bottling that stage power. And hey, it went platinum, so clearly it worked for the fans, despite the critics.
True. But Les Binks left after that, right? A money dispute.
Yeah, late 79. Payment issues over the live album, apparently. So they brought in Jave Holland, who used to be in Trapeze. He stayed for 10 years. A good, solid run.
That stability must have helped during their biggest ascent. And boy, did they ascend. 1980. British Steel.
Ah, yes. British Steel.
Often called the record that codified heavy metal. Shorter songs, catchier, more radio-friendly stuff like United, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight.
Anthems. Absolute anthems.
But still undeniably heavy. That balance is incredible.
It's a masterclass, really. Making it accessible for mainstream radio without selling out their core sound. They adapted brilliantly while staying true. British Steel created these huge hooks that everyone knew, but it was still pure Priest.
And 81's point of entry kind of followed that path too, right? More anthems like Solar Angels, Heading Out to the Highway.
Yeah, similar formula. They were just on an unstoppable roll, building incredible momentum.
Then came 1982, Screaming for Vengeance. This was the one that really blew the doors open in the U.S., wasn't it?
Absolutely. You've Got Another Thing Comin was huge on U.S. radio. Propelled the album to double platinum.
Double platinum. For a heavy metal band back then, that was massive.
Unprecedented, almost. And tracks like Electric Eye, Riding on the Wind were everywhere, too. Live staples.
This was them reaching genuine global domination arena headliners.
Totally. And their performance at the U.S. Festival in '83 on Heavy Metal Day, playing alongside Ozzy Van Halen. That just cemented it, commanding these enormous crowds.
Defenders of the Faith came out the next year, '84. Kept the streak going. Some critics called it Screaming for Vengeance too, though.
Yeah, a bit cheeky, but there were similarities musically. Still, Freewheel Burning was another big radio track. They were just consistently delivering the goods.
Then Live Aid in '85, playing JFK Stadium, sharing the stage with absolute megastars. Their visibility was peaking. But then, 1986, Turbo. This one caused a bit of a stir.
Ah, Turbo, yeah. More colorful stage look. And the big one, guitar synthesizers.
Controversial. Going for a more mainstream hard rock sound.
Definitely controversial for some of the old school fans. But you know what? It still went platinum. And the tour was enormous, hugely successful.
So that experimentation, even if divisive, it shows they weren't afraid to change, right? To try new things, even if it risked alienating some people.
Exactly. It was a bold move, embracing the synths, that polished, layered sound, Lots of big metal bands were flirting with more commercial sounds in the mid-'80s, trying to stay huge. And you have to mention Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
Oh, yeah, a documentary.
Capturing the fans outside a pre-show in '86. It perfectly sums up the vibe, the culture of that whole era. Brilliant snapshot.
After the Turbo Tour, they put out the live album Priest Live in '87, then Ram It Down in '88.
Ram It Down used some leftover songs from the Turbo sessions, plus new stuff. It was meant to be a return to more traditional metal after the synths.
But some critics felt they were kind of falling behind the thrash bands they'd influenced.
Yeah, thrash was exploding then. Priest was trying to get heavy again, but maybe sounded a bit dated to some compared to Metallica or Slayer at that point. And here's a crazy fact.
Yeah.
They actually recorded 3 tracks with Stock Aitken Waterman.
The pot producers. Seriously.
Seriously. Say Dobby. Management nixed it, kept them off the album. But imagine that version of Priest.
Wow. That's a definite what if. Shows the pressures they were under, weighing creative choices versus, well, bot potential.
Exactly. Glimpses behind the curtain. Anyway, 1989, Dave Holland leaves after 10 years. Another shift.
And his replacement was a monster, ushered in a whole new level of aggression.
Oh, yeah. Scott Travis. From Racer X.
September 1990, Painkiller drops. Travis's drumming is insane. Heavy double bass, way more technical.
Total game changer. That album was a massive comeback. Ditched pretty much all the '80s synths except a bit on a touch of evil. Just pure, fast, aggressive, heavy metal. Back to the roots, but heavier.
The tour was huge too, right? With bands like Pantera, Megadeth opening.
Huge. Culminated at Rock in Rio, playing to over 100,000 people. Painkiller was a statement. Priest was back, and heavier than ever. Scott Travis was crucial to that sound. Ferocious drumming.
And the image was still key. Halford riding the Harley on stage.
Iconic. Full leathers, sunglasses. The ultimate metal rebel thimble.
Speaking of the bike, that accident in Toronto, August '91, colliding with the drum riser hidden by dry ice, breaking his nose.
Nasty incident. Must have been agony.
But he finished the show before going to the hospital. That's dedication.
Total metal god move. He later said it wasn't why he left the band soon after, but still harrowing.
Yeah. But just as they're hitting these heights again, they get pulled into something completely different and much darker. The subliminal message trial. We have to talk about this before we get to Halford leaving.
Right. This is a really serious, chilling chapter. Raises huge questions about art, responsibility, interpretation. In 1990, Priest ended up in court in the U.S., facing these incredibly serious accusations.
They were accused of being responsible for a suicide pact back in '85, James Vance, who was 20, and Raymond Belknap, 18, in Sparks, Nevada.
The details are grim. December 23rd, 1985. Vance and Belknap went to a church playground with a shotgun. They'd been drinking, smoking pot.
And listening to Judas Priest, specifically the Stained Class album from '78.
Right. Belknap shot himself and died instantly. Vance shot himself too, but survived, horribly disfigured. He died 3 years later. Suspected drug overdose related to the injury.
And the families sued the band.
Yeah. The lawsuit claimed Priest deliberately put subliminal messages, stuff like, try suicide, do it, let's be dead, into their cover of the Spooky Tooth song, Better by You, Better Than Me.
Which was a song the label made them add to the album later, wasn't it?
Exactly. It wasn't even one of their core tracks from the main sessions. But the plaintiffs argued these hidden messages triggered the boys' actions.
Vance's parents said he'd been troubled, but was getting better, finding religion again, then this garbage music, as they put it, led him astray.
This whole idea of backmasking hidden evil messages in rock music, it was a huge moral panic back then, especially driven by the religious right.
Yeah.
This trial really put it center stage.
Fans protested outside the court, right, defending the band.
They did. Inside, during the trial, July to August 1990, the plaintiffs played the song backwards to forwards, slowed down, trying to prove the messages were there and intentional.
But the judge didn't buy it.
No. Ultimately dismissed the lawsuit. The judge ruled the alleged message was just a coincidental convergence of a guitar chord with an exhalation pattern. Basically, random sounds, not a command.
A landmark ruling for artistic freedom, really, against that kind of moral panic.
Absolutely critical precedent. How far can you blame art for tragedy? The whole thing was documented in that film, Dream Deceivers. The story behind James Van Vies's Judas Priest from '91. Gripping stuff. 3. The Ripper Years, Halford's Journey, and Grand Reunion, 1991-2010.
Wow. That trial, it's just a stark reminder of the kind of intense pressure and scrutiny bands like Priest faced. Makes you appreciate their resilience even more.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From the courtroom back to Rob Halford's journey after he left Priest.
Right. So after that huge Painkiller tour ended in August '91, there were signs of tension in the band. And Halford decided he wanted to explore totally different sounds. He formed Fight, this kind of street-level thrash metal band. Scott Travis actually played drums on their recordings initially.
Oh, interesting. So Travis stayed connected for a bit.
Yeah. Halford officially left Priest in May '92. Apparently it was down to miscommunication more than him just quitting outright, which is complex. Shows how things can break down even in massive bands. But Halford's drive is amazing, right? After all that success, he immediately wants to do something new.
Totally relentless. These weren't just side projects. They were serious artistic explorations. Fight's first album, War of Words in '93, got pretty good reviews. Aggressive, modern thrash.
Okay.
The second one, A Small Deadly Space in '95, went grungier, more alternative metal. Didn't connect quite as well with some fans. The band split after label issues with Epic. But Halford even thought about reforming them later.
After Fight, he went even further afield with 2-0, right? Industrial.
Yeah, 1997, a collaboration with guitarist John Lowry. Their album Voyeurs came out in '98. Produced by Dave Ogilvy, released on Trent Reznor's Nothing Records label.
So proper industrial connections there, a real departure.
Definitely deliberate. Challenging expectations. It really shows his versatility, his refusal to be stuck in one box. He wasn't just going to coast on being the metal god.
But he did come back to metal eventually.
Almost inevitably, yeah. Formed his solo band, Halford, in '99. The first album, Resurrection in 2000, was hailed as this big return to classic metal.
Yeah.
Then Crucible in 2002. Clear that his passion for pure heavy metal was still burning strong.
Meanwhile, Judas Priest, they had the almost impossible job of replacing him.
Daunting task, finding someone to fill those boots. They spent years searching. Auditioned some big names, Steve Grimmett, Ralph Sheepers, Whitfield Crane, even Devin Townsend, who was unknown then.
Wow, shows how tough it was, finding someone with that range, that power.
Exactly. Highlights just how unique Halford's voice really is.
They finally found someone in '96, Tim Ripper Owens, singer in a Priest tribute band, British Steel.
The ultimate tribute band fantasy, right? Getting the call up to the real thing. His story was loosely the basis for that movie, Rockstar.
Right. So this new lineup with Ripper released 2 studio albums, Jugulator in '97.
Which actually got a Grammy nomination for the track Bullet Train.
And Demolition in 2001. What was the sound like in this era?
It was definitely a conscious shift to sound more contemporary for the time. Jugulator leaned into groove metal, think mid-tempo, rhythmic, heavy riffs, kind of swaggering.
That like Pantera-ish.
A bit, yeah. And Demolition brought in some new metal elements, that blend of metal with hip-hop, industrial, alternative rock vibes, rap-style vocals sometimes, breakdowns, electronic textures.
So big stylistic changes, trying to stay current.
Yeah, showing they were still willing to adapt and experiment, even without Halford. Not all the old fans loved it, but it showed their resilience, their commitment to keep making music.
While all this was going on with the band, Rob Halford made a huge personal announcement. February 1998 on MTV, he publicly came out as gay.
A massive groundbreaking moment, not just for him, but for the whole metal scene. He called it a wonderful moment of liberation.
But he was worried about the reaction, right? Losing fans, discrimination.
He was. And this is where it gets really significant. His coming out challenged so many stereotypes about masculinity and sexuality in metal. He was incredibly brave, talking openly about the depression, the substance abuse that came from hiding his identity for so long.
He mentioned going into rehab back in '86 after a painkiller overdose and being sober ever since.
Yeah, calling sobriety the greatest gift.
Yeah.
That kind of honesty was incredibly powerful.
He also mentioned that song Raw Deal from way back in '77 on Sin After Sin, talking about Fire Island.
Right. He said looking back, it felt like almost a coming out experience for him then, even if nobody, maybe not even him fully, recognized it at the time.
That's fascinating. Art carrying hidden meanings that only become clear later.
Totally. Shows the connection between his life and his early work. And there was that anecdote about his George Michael moment in '92.
The arrest in Venice Beach.
Yeah, for public indecency. And the arresting officer was a huge Priest fan and helped keep it quiet. Just underscores the risks and pressures he was navigating.
Thankfully, he said the metal community has been largely accepting since he came out.
Which is a great message about diversity in a genre often seen as very traditional, very macho.
Yeah.
Though he did note society itself maybe hadn't changed as much as he hoped regarding equality.
So after 11 years apart, with fans clamoring for it and Halford's solo band sounding, well, very Priest-like.
Maybe more Priest-like than Priest did at that point, some argue.
Right. The reunion finally happened, July 2003. Rob Halford, back in Judas Priest, timed with the Mythology box set release.
And they hit the road straight away.
Yeah.
Co-headlined Ozfest in 2004, got named the premier act, and credit to Ripper Owens and the band, they parted ways amicably, which is pretty rare in rock.
Definitely a classy move. And this reunion wasn't just nostalgia, was it? They came back strong creatively.
Absolutely. Their new album, Angel of Retribution, March 2005, huge success, critically and commercially. Won a Metal Hammer Golden Gods Award for Best Album. Proved the classic lineup still had serious firepower.
Their induction into the VH1 Rock Honors in 2006 seemed to seal that legendary status, too. Godsmack covering them, Halford riding the Harley on stage.
Classic Priest underscored their undeniable place in rock history.
Then in 2008, they did something really ambitious. Nostradamus, a huge concept album.
Sprawling. About the 16th century French seer, it had symphonic bits, choirs, more keyboards, surprised a lot of fans with its scope.
Another bold experiment, even after reuniting, shows they weren't just going to play the hits.
Exactly. A concept album like that, it challenged expectations again, showed they were still willing to take big artistic risks, even deep into their career.
They followed that with big tours. The Priest Feast Tour with Megadeth and Testament in '09, the British Steel 30th Anniversary Tour, playing the whole album. Fans loved that.
Oh, yeah. And they won a Grammy in 2010. Best Metal Performance for Dissident Aggressor from the live album A Touch of Evil. Live.
Finally got that Grammy win. They were even offered a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame around then.
Yeah. But scheduling conflicts got in the way, unfortunately. Couldn't make the ceremony. Still, the recognition was there. 4. Shifting lineups, enduring firepower, and future horizons, 2010-present.
Okay, moving into the 2010s. December 2010, Priest makes an announcement that causes a bit of a stir. The Epitaph World Tour was going to be their farewell tour.
Yeah, that set ripples of concern through the fan base, for sure. Planned to run till 2012.
But they clarified pretty quickly, didn't they? It wasn't the end.
Right. They emphasized it was their last major world tour, not the end of the band itself, which was a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
So they were still committed to making music, just maybe shifting the touring intensity, acknowledging the realities of decades on the road.
But then, just a few months later, April 2011, another big change. KK Downing retires.
Huge moment. Citing differences with the band and management, that Downing-Tipton twin guitar partnership had been the core for so long. Felt like an era ending for many.
Who replaced him?
Richie Faulkner. Really talented guitarist. He was playing with Lauren Harris, Steve Harris's daughter.
Ah, okay. And their first gig without KK was on American Idol.
Yeah. With James Durbin, season 10 finale. A bit unexpected, but massive exposure.
So Downing leaving was major, but Faulkner stepping in? How did that work out?
Amazingly well, actually.
Oh.
Faulkner had enormous shoes to fill, obviously.
Yeah.
But he brought incredible skill, new energy. He maintained that signature sound, but added his own flair, too. Showed the band could adapt, find fresh talent, keep things vibrant. And left Ian Hill as the only original member still standing, that link back to the very start.
Despite the farewell talk and losing KK, they were still writing.
Oh, yeah. Alfred and Tipton said they had like 12 or 14 tracks mapped out. The creative fire was definitely still burning.
And that led to Redeemer of Souls, released July 2014. And this was a big one, chart-wise, right?
Massive. Their first ever top 10 album in the U.S. Hit number 6 on Billboard. Incredible! After all those years. This proves their enduring appeal and that fans were absolutely hungry for new Priest music. And yeah, Halford had confirmed back in 2013 that the Epitaph Tour wasn't their last tour after all. Big relief for everyone. They also put out the Battle Cry live album from Whack in 2015 during this period, showing off that renewed live energy.
Then they started work on album number 18, Firepower. Began in 2016.
Yeah.
And they brought back an old friend for producing.
Glenn Allen, yeah. Who had produced their classic 80s albums, but they teamed him up with Andy Sneap.
Respected modern metal producer who'd end up playing with them later.
Exactly. And Mike Exeter, too. It felt like a really smart move, blending that classic sound knowledge with modern production muscle.
Honoring the past, but keeping it fresh.
Precisely. And Firepower, released March 2018, was widely hailed as a killer album. Great tour followed, too. Powerful stuff.
But this era also brought some really tough news personally for the band. Glenn Tipton's Parkinson's diagnosis.
Yeah, heartbreaking. He revealed it in February 2018, said it would limit his touring. So Andy Sneap, who'd co-produced the album, stepped in to handle most of the guitar duties live.
Huge task, filling Glenn Tipton's role on stage.
Monumental. But Tipton, incredibly, still made appearances. He'd come out for the encores sometimes, just showed his incredible spirit, refusing to let it beat him.
That determination through such adversity,
Yeah,
it really is inspiring, shows the band's solidarity.
absolutely. And even with Glenn's health challenges, the band kept creating. He still contributed to writing new material. Halford and Hill were talking up new ideas.
Then COVID hit, obviously messing up tour plans. The 50 Heavy Metal Years tour got postponed multiple times.
Yeah, tough times for all touring bands. And sadly, they lost former drummers John Hinch in 2021 and then Les Binks just recently in March 2025.
And Richie Faulkner had that major heart scare too, September 2021. An aortic aneurysm on stage.
Terrifying. Had to postpone the U.S. tour again. Just an unbelievable run of challenges, deaths of former members, serious health issues, a pandemic. Even that brief moment, Andy Sneap stepped away as touring guitarist in early 2022 before quickly coming back.
They just kept pushing through it all.
It's almost superhuman resolve. Speaks volumes about their passion, their commitment. They just have to make music, it seems.
So the next album, Faulkner and Halford hinted it might be more progressive than Firepower.
Yeah, intriguing hint. Though Tipton reassured everyone it would be what every Priest fan will want. A balance, maybe.
And the album, Invincible Shield, was announced at the Power Trip Festival. It came out March 2024. Singles like Panic Attack, Trial by Fire, Crown of Horns, The Serpent and the King.
And it proved, yet again, they've still got it. That creative well is far from dry.
Speaking of legacy, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They finally got in May 2022, after being nominated before but passed over.
Yep. Though it was via the Award for Musical Excellence, not the main performer category.
Which caused some debate, right? What is the difference, and did Priest deserve the performer slot?
Exactly. The band was thrilled, obviously. But Halford and others were a bit critical of the distinction. Felt their live legacy absolutely qualified them as performers. Highlights those ongoing debates about these institutions and their categories.
But the induction itself was special because
K.K. Downing and Les Binks joined them on stage. They played a 3-song set together. A rare, historic reunion. Really powerful moment. Transcended any category arguments.
Looking ahead, even after pouring everything into Invincible Shield, Richie Faulkner said new ideas always emerge.
Yeah, like magic, he said. And Halford's basically said another album is inevitable. Faulkner mentioned in late 2024 that 2025 would involve touring and pooling ideas, hoping to start work on album number 20 in 2026.
20 studio albums. The Fire truly endures its incredible artistry, influence, and legacy. So when you look back at this whole massive journey, 5 decades, what really defines Judas Priest's artistry, it's always been heavy metal at its core, right? But so much variety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rooted in metal, but they've touched on so many things.
Yeah.
Think back to rock and roll, mostly heavy blues rock, like a lot of bands started.
Mm-hmm.
But those early albums weren't just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had straight-up rockers, sure, but also acoustic ballads, those quirky covers, and yeah, those ambitious multi-part epics. Almost Queen-like in their theatricality, mixed with Sabbath's power.
That early eclectic phase, before they became the pure metal gods, it's important context.
Totally. They were explorers.
Yeah.
And that progressive edge, especially from Sad Wings, through stained glass complex guitars, poetic lyrics, big dynamic shifts, that was really adventurous stuff back then. Laid the groundwork for everything.
And we talked about Sin After Sin and the double bass drumming innovation. How huge was that for the genre overall?
Monumental. Often understated, but truly pivotal. That specific style, the rapid 16th notes on the bass drums, locked with the guitars, it wasn't just a flourish. It created this relentless forward momentum, this wall of sound.
Defined a new level of aggression.
Exactly. It directly influenced speed metal, thrash, power metal. It changed the rhythmic DNA of heavy music. A crucial contribution.
Then, from killing machine hell-bent for leather and British steel, they shifted, bringing in more commercial, radio-friendly elements.
Right. Simpler lyrics, catchier hooks. That phase went through Point of Entry. Then, Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders found that amazing balance, accessibility, and pure metal power perfectly blended.
Their whole evolution shows this willingness to adapt, to experiment, doesn't it? Even when it wasn't universally loved.
Definitely. From the turbo synths, which were
The
controversial.
aggressive comeback of Ram It Down and Painkiller, even the groove and new metal stuff in the Ripper years.
And then back to a more classic but still evolving sound post-reunion. That constant change, while maybe dividing fans sometimes, kept them relevant, kept them fresh, kept them influential across generations.
And holding it all together was Rob Halford's voice, the metal god voice.
Extraordinary instrument that ranged from the throaty growls up to those ear-splitting falsettos with that powerful vibrato. Just incredible control.
Set the benchmark, really.
Completely. Almost impossible standard for metal vocalists. So many try to emulate it. He himself said he was influenced by legends like Little Richard, Elvis, Janis Joplin, Robert Plant.
Diverse influences.
Yeah, pushed his own limits, trying to match them. And he called Freddie Mercury his ultimate hero, wished he'd known him, shows the broad musicality feeding into his unique style.
Beyond the sound, the fashion, Priest basically invented the heavy metal look.
Revolutionary. From the 70s hippie stuff to Halford stepping out in full leather and studs for the '79 tour. The band followed, and boom, a visual identity was born.
How much does image define a genre? For Priest, it seems like it was crucial.
Absolutely. Inspired by punk, by leather culture, that look became the blueprint. Influenced 80s glam, surprisingly even early black metal's aesthetic. KK said something was missing until he had that look. It felt inevitable.
It's interesting, though. Halford later said he wasn't personally into the S&M or queer subculture aspects of leather, just saw it as a powerful look.
Yeah, he clarified his personal intent as a vanilla gay man, he put it. Fans at the time likely didn't read a kink subtext into it either.
But now, especially after he came out, people do see queer themes, or at least themes of nonconformity and empowerment in the look and lyrics.
And that's fascinating, right? How art takes on new meanings over time, reflects cultural shifts, increased awareness. The symbols evolve. What was just rebellion might now also resonate as personal freedom, identity, adds another layer to their legacy.
And that legacy is just colossal. Metal Gods, the nickname says it all, ranked #2 metal band ever by MTV after Sabbath. VH1 put them in their top 100 greatest artists, inaugural VH1 Rock Honors inductees, that Grammy win, Hall of Heavy Metal History,
Right.
and the Rock Hall induction, finally.
Yeah, the sheer weight of recognition, despite early skepticism from some critics, it's undeniable. They're foundational. And the sales back it up. Over 50 million albums sold. 11 top 30 albums in the UK. That incredible streak of 11 gold or platinum albums in the US, starting with Sin After Sin. Just amazing consistency.
Genre influence. Where do you even start? Pioneers of the new wave of British heavy metal, injecting that precision and energy. Formative for speed, thrash, power metal, 80s hard rock, glam.
The lineage is huge. So many bands name themselves after Priest songs or albums. Sinner, Exciter, Tyrant. Talk about respect. And the bands they inspired. Metallica, Maiden, Slayer, Pantera, Queensrÿche. The list is endless. Their DNA is just woven through metal.
It's almost impossible to talk about modern metal without acknowledging Priest's role, isn't it?
They're completely pervasive. Their imprint is everywhere. And their cultural reach goes beyond music, too. Rob Reiner studied them for This Is Spinal Tap.
Hilarious.
The Rockstar movie based on Ripper's story. Even The Simpsons having to apologize for calling them death metal. Shows how specific their brand is in the public mind. Halford doing voice work for the game Brutal Legend.
They're part of the culture.
What an absolutely mind-blowing journey for a band from Birmingham. Truly incredible. It's a testament to their talent, sure, but also that astounding resilience through lineup changes, lawsuits, health scares. Their constant innovation, the iconic image, Halford's personal story, and they're still going. Still touring and recording in their OAP heavy metal years, as Halford jokes.
Old age pensioner heavy metal. Love it. That resilience, that refusal to quit. It's rare.
It really is special. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to chew on. KK Downing himself once said the band had a bit of an identity crisis from the beginning. So how did a band that started with that kind of uncertainty end up forging one of the most powerful, recognizable, enduring identities in all of music? An identity that's still evolving today. What does that tell us about real lasting artistry? About facing change, discovering yourself under the relentless pressure of the global spotlight?
Something to definitely think about. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the monumental world of Judas Priest. Thanks so much for joining us.
Been great talking Priest.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.